Welcome to Aufhören der Podcast. My name is Sophia and I am super happy that you listen to your and mine feminist spiritual business empowerment podcast. When you are looking for the courage to quit and the inspiration to start, this is for you. Hello and welcome to another English episode. In a bit you can listen to an interview I did with Rob Blake. Rob Blake is an artist and a humanitarian and a CEO of a fashion brand called Nobody Died. He's the CEO, creator, and he's obviously a very interesting person. That's why I invited him to be a guest in the show. And I asked him, for example, how does one become an artist? Or how did you notice that you are an artist? Also, we talked about his creative process. We talked about money and art and what he thinks about money and his art in relation to money. We talked about success and also a lot about his latest project, Nobody Died. My favorite quote, one of the favorite things for me that he said during the whole interview was that his objective for founding Nobody Died is to have a voice. He wants to have a voice. He wants to be a brand, just like Nike, Adidas, and so on. He said, I only need to sell a few t-shirts and then I'm a brand. And he's right. And what he wants is he wants to be a voice and he wants to have a voice and be heard. And he wants to get the opportunity to sit on a panel and talk to a representative of, let's say, Nike or any fast fashion consumer brand, I guess. And he wants to ask, what do you think about this? Do you feel strong representing that? And do you believe in your own message? And from my heart, I really am supporting Rob to manifest this dream. And I would like you to ask to do the same. And if you have any idea, any suggestion, if you feel an impulse to support him to get there, feel free to contact either me or him. His website and everything you need to know is in the show notes. And help me helping him, helping the world. And let's bring Rob Blake to a panel talk, please. Now, I wish you a great time and enjoy listening to this episode of Aufhören der Podcast. Hi Rob.
Hello.
Welcome to Aufhören der Podcast. It's a feminist spiritual business empowerment podcast. I think that's not so important right now to dig into these words.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to jump in with the first question I have for all my guests, and that's 3 words. When you think about your work, how do you feel?
My artwork and this, what I feel or what I'm trying to achieve. Okay.
3 words that come to you first.
I guess human is very important to me. The idea of people and society. Newness, something new. And I guess recently anger. I guess anger is very important in my work.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about this?
But anger?
Yes. I love anger.
I don't know, it's just the time we're in, right? Like the moment we're at. Like I think a lot of good things happen because of anger. You know, like a lot of like positive changes can come about, and I think it can be quite an energizing force. I also enjoy the aesthetic of angry things, you know, like I enjoy stuff that shouts or like, you know.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. In the same way we like violent films or something, I think it connects with us on some level, right?
Yeah. Have you been angry today already?
Yeah, a little, just for a brief brief period earlier, but then I was all right.
You want to share what it was about?
This is just about washing up, actually. I was putting the things, and they were really loud, and I was just annoyed at how loud everything was.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, of course, I read the news today, and obviously that made me angry, and like it does every day to everyone.
Yeah. So your words are anger, human, and newness.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Originality, I guess, but that's sort of a less relevant word than newness somehow.
Yeah. So now you have to tell us about your work. What do you do? What's on your Visitenkarte?
Just my name, literally just my name. I make very, very varied projects, loosely kind of conceptual contemporary art, I guess. Often with a kind of humanist or social perspective. I use lots of different mediums, from paint to video and film. I come from a filmmaking and art background. And yeah, I try not to, I guess like you with this program, I try to keep the frame very open, and so that I can do different things. And you know, at first it was a problem. I think everybody wants things specialized, you know, like do this thing, and what your job is this, you know.
You have to be a painter, yeah.
And you're a painter that uses this type of paint in this way to paint these subjects, and you know, like, and then that's the right thing to do, you know. Whereas I just never felt like that, you know. I could enjoy painting, I can enjoy something else, you know, and I don't see that they're...
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Too separate.
Because I sometimes think that I'm doing so many projects, and I have more and more ideas of things I want to do.
Good, yeah.
And sometimes I have this voice in my mind that says, Sophia, you have to focus. You have to quit doing so many different things, and you have to only do one thing.
Yeah.
And it's nice for me to hear that now I don't need to focus. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
There's a really amazing book by Buckminster Fuller. Do you know this guy? He built the geodomes, and he's an amazing physicist and molecular biologist. I don't know what else he did. Physicist. Anyway, he was also part of the utopian movement in America. Anyway, he wrote this great book called Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth. And he developed this idea that the Earth is a spaceship that we all travel on, and just that this idea of specializing. Part of the book is the idea of specializing is the way that to divide us all, you know, so that people know one little thing but not everything. Do you know what I mean? So you can know about one little piece of technology but not how that technology will be used or what might happen with it. And I think this is really dangerous for us, and it's really good, I think, to do everything and to accept that people can be a florist but also a dancer, and also biologist, whatever. Like who cares, you know? Like
totally. Write down that book for me later, so I put it in the show notes.
All of this work is great.
Yeah. I always like it when people recommend interesting things to read or to look up. So the next question I have for you is, can you share a bit of your path? How does one become an artist? Or how did you notice that you are an artist?
I always put down art to it being a thing where you can't really do anything else, you know? And not that you know, I mean, I can do anything else, obviously, like, but there's just something about it that makes you keep going back to it. I think that obsession is very important. And if you find yourself with a particular obsession, it just feels like that's the thing to do, you know, mountain biking or whatever, like, and so with art, I guess, there's an obsession for me with it, and whatever I do, I think I'll come back to that way of expressing myself. You know, somehow, like, whatever career or different thing I might be involved in at the time, it might seem very far from that, but at the end there's aesthetics and there's ideas and there's double meanings and, you know, all the things that define what makes an artwork.
So you think one needs to be obsessed? Or you?
I need to be obsessed to find it like that, yeah. I don't trust it when people aren't, you know, like, in a way.
Yeah. That's true. People who are artists, when you have Feierabend from your art...
There is no Feierabend from it, right?
Yeah.
And I always put down my successful friends are not the ones that have the big kind of press or big shows or lots of money or whatever. I'd say my successful friends are the ones that just keep doing whatever it is, you know, like even if nobody cares, you know, like they just keep going. And a lot of my favorite artists and musicians and creators or whatever are of that type, you know, like they just keep doing it.
Yeah, I think I read a quote recently: success means failing one time after the other without losing enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I think the word success actually is very kind of crucial in our time, you know, like we often think about success and this is success, but at the moment it's Greta, you know, the activist kind of thing, and she's successful, you know, and but what I often just feel is that the word success is often just used to mean fame and money, you know, as opposed to real success, which is just doing the thing that you want to do, you know, like whatever, like that's success to me, you know, and if other people like it, great, whatever, you know, or like if you can make money from that, great, but I don't know, the people whose work I love just keep doing it.
And also that success is not like a spot somewhere in the future. It's not like a finite goal you reach at some point and then like, okay, I'm done, I'm success now. I'm successful now. Yeah. How is your creative process? How do you know what you want to do and how do you do it then, and where do you get your ideas from? How long does one piece take, and how messy is it?
Yeah, it can be. I tend to. I often have kind of like an epiphany with ideas, you know, like I'll just think of it, and I often think of the entire thing all the way through, you know, like the moment I've thought of it, I've also thought of how I'm going to make it and where it'll be, and often it doesn't change from that, you know, like, which can be quite frustrating with kind of longer projects, because I've already had the kind of the satisfaction of seeing it in my head, and then it's just a process of making that happen. Sometimes things just come by accident. Occasionally I have to like push something to like make it come together, particularly say with a commercial project, because it's more natural. But often, I just see it and then I want to make it, you know, I see it in my head and then I want to make it happen. Nice. and then the process comes almost
but that's interesting that when you start doing it in your head, you have done it already.
Often, yeah. It's very
and
rare.
And then is doing it not boring?
No, because then there's other things, you know, and there's other things you'll learn, and it might completely change by the end, you know, but like on the whole it doesn't. Often with like, say particularly when I make short films or whatever, I'll have done a sketch and then like I'll look back at that sketch when we film the thing and it'll be exactly the same, you know, like really like a stick man and a stick man, you know, but actually you'll be like, oh look, you can see these two things are connected, like.
Nice.
Maybe that's not the best way of working, I don't know, maybe a kind of more rigorous, slow approach can work, and it does with certain projects, but on the whole I'll tend to just have a moment and go bam, that's great, and then I'll try and do that, you know. So
would you say that also you trust your intuition?
Yeah,
and you can hear your intuition very strong, no?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it all comes down to that.
Nice. Art and money. How do you handle can you live off that question?
It's not going well at the moment, I have to say. The old money, it comes up and down. I'm also trying to transition from doing any sort of video work and commercial work, really. I'm trying to get rid of all of that and just sell my artwork or be paid to do it. That's my kind of ambition. I just feel like, in general with money, and I do care about, I'm a hard worker when it comes to things, but I just feel I've done it now. I feel like I've earned money, I've done things, like, not lots of money ever, but like, I've given my time to that shit, you know, and I just don't feel like, as a human, like, I need to do that anymore. Like, I remember when I was younger, I used to argue with friends that would claim we call it the dole but the heart sphere, like free money from the government, and we'd be like, well, why should I work? And I'd be like, everybody has to work, we all have to work, and then, you know, so that it all works, like the whole society. And now as I've got older, I think like machines can do that shit. I don't know, like I feel I've had enough. I want grundeinkommen, and then I'll be done, you know. Give me grundeinkommen and I'll just try and like improve the world around me, and that'll be it. That's all I'll do, you know. Like, I'm kind of really like sort of sick of having to worry about money and having to think about it, if you know what I mean. I'd like to emancipate myself from that. I know this is kind of like everybody said this, but like, yeah, it's sort of. I just don't want it to be part of any thought process when it comes to like interesting ideas or projects. You know, I think I want it to be the last thing that we think about. You know. So yeah, so hopefully somebody will.
I hope for you that you get that fucking rich that you don't have to think about money anymore.
That, yeah. The moment I've got like enough money, the moment I can't pay some bills and I have some real problems, but like the moment I've got some money, I just don't even consider it anymore. You know, like I think like money doesn't buy happiness, but having no money definitely buys unhappiness. You know, like it's impossible to live with no money.
Yeah.
Like I think that kind of quote doesn't make sense up until a certain amount, and then it makes sense. You know, between 20,000 and $1 million a year, you're probably not that different. You know, maybe $1 million, but like yeah, just the basics. Having been able to cover the basics and worrying about those is still quite stressful. But well, often the best things are done by kind of being imaginative and solving problems through that, I guess.
So, is it that you as an artist, you live, either you have a lot of money, but then you also experience having no money? That how is that for you?
I very rarely have a lot of money. That's
but is it also not somehow life stays exciting, or that you get pushed to the edge of what's possible, and then of course when you're in there it's shit, but I think out of these extreme situations you can also take a lot.
Can do,
I guess.
Yeah. I used to be more inspired by money and like by the need to get money, and you know, like I kind of always supported myself from very young, and like it was always very important to me to have that kind of whatever. But I just these days, like especially moving to Berlin, where there's like it's not so desperate as the UK. You know, like the UK you're poor and like it's fucking shit. Like it gets can I swear on this?
Yeah.
It gets really bad. You know, whereas here like. And culturally, it's really bad. You feel poor, you know, like you are poor. You can't afford decent bread or anything, you know. But then also people, the energy around you becomes poor, if you know what I mean, because class is so crucial for us. And then moving here, like we don't really feel those things in the same way.
That's true.
We really don't.
I experienced that when I came here 7 or 8 years ago, and I come from the south of Germany, from a small town, and after living abroad, I found out that everybody there is fucking rich. And I came here, and I remember that was a feeling that I had, that it was no topic how much money someone had.
No one ever talks
it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's very nice that here, it's just like you can have as much money as you want. No one even notices. Yeah.
It's embarrassing almost to show off. Like people in Berlin and like now definitely they all pretend to have no money. Everyone. Yeah.
So or at least not these status symbols. Like when someone has a big car, for example, here, it's gangsters who have leased it probably, or I don't know where they got it from. But no cool 20 to mid 30 or 40 person shows off
Nobody
a car.
Wants to show off
it's not
Everybody
cool.
wants to pretend to be poor and bohemian in Berlin, I think. Like a lot of people are pretending. I mean, there is people, obviously, and the original scene, I think, was very much built on like outsider people. But now, like everywhere, like just the last 3 or 4 years, it's kind of. I'm not actually very cynical about Berlin. I still love it, and like, but you know, like very different groups of people have come here for different reasons. You know, like it became internet famous, Instagram famous, and then suddenly like. Every single latte shop you can imagine in the world. Like, I have nothing against hot drinks, but it becomes a bit kind of boring and monotonous, you know. Like,
and but what do you think about the about quantum physics and about attracting into your life, and about also that maybe it would be about the possibility that maybe it's very easy to get whatever you want if you just align your inner world, the outside world adapts.
Okay.
So. And also with art, yes, it's kind of like a thing that many artists don't have a lot of money, but it's also like a thing that some art pieces are sold for ridiculous amounts. So maybe you can just put on your painting a price of $500 million tomorrow, and you're gonna sell it, and that's it. No?
That's the dream. Yeah. I mean, and I have sold a few works,
Yeah.
and you can go to my website and buy some of that art yourself. But yeah, what is this term called? This manifestation, or
I can teach you more about it later.
Okay.
I think if
is it
you
like a
if
kind
you
of
like.
Zen
Yeah,
technique?
totally.
Wow.
I believe in that.
Yeah.
It's all energy. It's all vibrations.
What have you ever made from thinking about it?
Oh, I made something yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday morning, I wrote in my diary, what would I like today? What would make today awesome? And then I wrote down, I want to sell a sweater because I have this fair fashion labels where I sell hand knitted sweaters.
Right.
And I wrote this in my diary. I stayed in bed reading. 20 minutes later,
Bling.
I got a notification that I
No
sold a
way.
sweater.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You believed and it came true.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I can also lend you a book about it. I'm sure you can do it, and yeah, it's easy. But let's talk about this later.
Okay.
What I want to ask for you now: how do you determine the worth of your art? When you finish something?
You mean like the actual like euros in euros?
Yeah, genau. We're
Or do
still
you
in the
mean-
money topic, monetary worth. Yeah.
It's quite abstract, I guess. I mean, you want it to sell, don't you? So you put like a certain price on it. Certain things I don't want to sell, so I'll make them a lot higher. I want to keep that, so I'll make it really high.
So you think things sell better when they are cheap?
No. It's different in art. It's different somehow.
Yeah.
I think they sell. You need to hit a kind of decent point. You know, like you can't say 100,000 at this point in a career. You know, but like. Yeah, I think people. If you're buying an artwork, and I don't mean like a print or whatever, I mean more like a sculpture or something that's obviously had a lot of kind of work put into it. I think you want to have spent something on it. You know, I think the nature of spending money actually gives things a lot of value, especially to yourself. I think like I personally I quite like things that come for free and whatever, and I value them quite equally. But I think the majority of people really value things that they've paid more for more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can support that by asking for more money. But I'm very, very flexible about that. I'm very much, one of my kind of views on money is that it's very relative, and that money shouldn't just be, there shouldn't be like 10 euros, this is 10 euros. I kind of feel that things should be much more flexible than that, because 10 euros to Crux, our friend at Bodenstrasse, is quite a lot, and like 10 euros to, West Berlin is nothing. Do you know what I mean? So this is, I think, should be relevant and should be talked about somehow. I'm kind of in favour of everybody having to say how much they make. I think it would everyone would be so embarrassed about it at first.
Why?
Well, nobody would do it. Nobody would say what they earn, I think. But I think it'd be really interesting. I think people would be like, what, you earn that? And then the conversation could happen. I think this keeping it all secret is what's destroyed trust with each other. And it's what's allowed women to be paid so much less, which is still such a surprise, on some level. And it's because no one's talking about it. Nobody's saying, I earn this.
Yeah, it's awful.
Because it's a status thing to not say.
And then what does the mind do when there's an unknown? We make up crazy things.
Yeah,
we think that everybody is super rich and everybody earns a lot except me.
Yeah. Or we don't empathise with other people that don't earn a lot. We think that everybody else earns what we earn.
Yeah.
And so you hear all of these people being, these bloody homeless people, they're driving their cars to go and beg on the street. That people have these opinions that are just crazy. And you're like, well, it's because we don't know. I think it would be great if we were all aware of how much each other earn.
Yeah,
I think it would change.
I don't know how it is in the UK, but in Germany, I also try to be very open with it, and when someone asks me, I'm like, that's me. But I know that in Germany, for some people, it's like a huge no-go.
Yeah,
it's something you don't talk about. It's like, I don't know, talking about that you have a period or that your parents have sex or whatever. It's something that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And
it's something private, but it's in a way not private, because an organisation is paying you that money, or private individuals are paying you that money, tax is being paid on it. In the end, it's not private anymore in a weird way. It shouldn't be anyway.
Yeah, and what we also have is that people are very jealous here. That I think not everybody's the same, but what's generalities of Germans is that you cannot. It's hard for Germans to be happy for someone else when they have something nice.
I think that's universal.
It's more like yeah, you think it's universal.
Well, definitely European,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's a bit sad because it's not nice for you to think that. It's not nice for the thinker who thinks it, and it's also not nice to live in a world where you think like this, because then you think if someone else has something, I cannot have it, and then it's everyone against everyone except and not thinking, he can have that, that's cool, so I can also have something like that. Yeah,
the idea that there's like just, I don't know, like I'm always amazed by how many things there are, you know, like you go anywhere and like see endless car parks, you know, like there's cars forever, like so many, you know, like so many things. Like the idea that we can't all have lots of stuff is just crazy, because there just is lots of stuff, like like there's car parks full of cars that will never be sold, you know, like you go to any city in any country in Europe, go to the next smaller city, go to the next smaller town, go to a village, and you'll find like cars and cars and cars, you know, like just lined up, you know, everywhere. I'm always buying them, like for whatever, or they might never be bought. They have to exist so that something else can be bought. I mean, it's old, like it's old stuff, but it just hasn't changed, you know. Like everybody's talked about like how kind of wasteful and hypocritical consumerism is forever, like, well, you know, all my life at least, but it's just not changed in any way. It's got much worse, I think. I don't know if that's a Berlin bubble, but whenever I'm on YouTube, or maybe that's my algorithm, I get shown videos of minimalism. So I think that's, for example, one movement that portrays an anti-trend a bit, nah? That people become aware of how much weight it also is to have all of these things around. Yeah, where do those people keep their things though, you know, like... Where? Very good cupboards. No, they just don't own things. Yeah. Do they own, like, then... I used to live with my roommate, he was a minimalist, and all he had in his room, for me it was a bit funny then, and even now, like, I think my nature is just more maximalism. I like stuff. Yeah. I'm very pro for everything. But he had in his room a plant, a bed, and a chair. Wow. That's it. Yeah. Where did he keep his clothes? A closet, but there was somewhere else. Yeah. Wow. Well, it was a little cupboard. That's very good. Apropos clothes, there was a good transition now. Tell me about Nobody Died. Yeah, right. So Nobody Died is a little project that I've been working on for quite a while, like 2 years. It started because I'd always go to Woolworths. You know Woolworths? It was very sentimental for British people, like Woolworths. It's a British company, and but it shut down there, went bankrupt. And it's funny, it still exists here. And they specialise in clothes for very fat people, which is kind of quite funny. So like quadruple XL clothing. Anyway, I'd often buy the t-shirts from there, white t-shirts, $1.99, crazy, right? But I put them on, and I just think somebody died for this, you know? Like, I'd be wearing them thinking, a kid probably died for this, you know? Like, and it's not fiction, like, there's almost, you know, like, not every single t-shirt is one kid dead, obviously, but, like, there's a connection there, right? And they never fit properly, and they'd always fall apart anyway, so I was like, well, what's this about? And so I set about trying to replace my clothing, basically, just for me, really. And it took a long time to, like, find a fabric and, you know, that like kind of was ethical. Like there's a system called GOTS, G-O-T-S. Do you know this? Yeah, I mean, you'll know this from your company. Which is basically like fair trade and economic and
it's
ecological.
The best standard, the best sigil? No, how's the English word? I don't know.
Think you can use that word, but standard word. And then, so it took me ages to get this fabric and then to find people to sew it. And I went through several people who... Some people were everybody was good enough to sew the t-shirts, but they all found it really boring, you know, like, so I was like, I couldn't actually pay them to do it. They were like, we'll just do something else. I was like, fine. Anyway,
so hold on, because I'm a fashion girl, no? I studied fashion, and I know, like, the status quo, what my very old white dude South German teacher told me about how the world works and how fashion needs to work, how the processes are. And that's why it's so interesting for me now to hear your approach. So you bought these white t-shirts, you thought somebody died for these t-shirts, they're shit. And then your approach was, okay, I buy fabric and I make someone sew the t-shirts.
Voila. I mean, that's the same model, no, but just very small.
Okay.
And yes, eventually, it's a long story, but eventually, yeah, I found someone, Jem, she's called, and maybe we can put a link to her things, because if you want any other clothes or anything made by her, and she does her own fashion, she's really good. And yeah, so I finally made them. Like, so basically, getting the thread, obviously, like, because that also has to be guts, you know, like, and it's not quite as easy as you think to get overlock a thread. And I learned about all of this stuff that you probably know about already.
No, but share more about it.
Oh, that's it. And so yeah, I've just sort of launched them online. I was going to do a big party, and maybe I will at some point. But basically, they're t-shirts. They come in one size. I'm wearing one now, actually. They come in one size. Really nice cotton fabric, and my guarantee is that nobody died and everybody got paid. Which I just think, how is that not a standard anyway? You know, like why, like, how is it even a thing that we would accept that people died for the products that we have? You know, like, it's not worth it.
It's cognitive dissonance.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know, and we all know, right? Nobody's gone, oh no children died for making that. Like, nobody's said that. They've all gone, yeah, of course they do. You know,
it's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
We know that something is shit, but somehow we can suppress it, forget it. That's why people can still eat at McDonald's also.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, there's a few interesting things about the t-shirts. One is the price. So it comes back to this conversation from earlier, actually. The price of the t-shirt is 0.2% of your income per year, whatever. So if you make 10,000 a year, that works out at €20 a t-shirt, which is the minimum I can sell them at because of cost. And so it's connected to how much you earn. And so I think, like, everyone was like, well, it's going to make people that have loads of money not want to buy one because it will cost more. But I was like, well, surely they should be happy that they've got loads of money, you know, and like, be proud of that. Be proud that they bought the t-shirt that cost that, you know, like, I guess, like, this art.
How did you calculate this 0.2? How did you come up with that number?
It just fit. It made it kind of connect to, like, at 10,000 it would be €20, which seemed like kind of, because I've only ever made about 10,000 a year, like, for most of my life. So, like, I just based it on that, and also, like, the clothes fit me because I based it on my model, you know. But yeah, I guess it's a fashion brand, but at a lot of levels, it's mainly. I mean, it's an art project, but it's the reason why I wanted to make a fashion brand is to be a brand just like Nike. You know, like, I'm a brand just like Nike. You know, like, I was very, like, upset a couple of years ago, or last year. They did this the Female Force campaign. Did you see any of this? The Female Force. They all do it now. Like, all of the big fashion, like, sports fashion brands use, like, women of colour, basically.
Women
that's it.
With a hijab, or
for instance, or often, like, whatever, and to promote this brand, and it's like Nike, like 90% of their workforce are female, like. They get, like, regularly awful conditions, and we don't even need to go into you all can imagine, like, the worst place on earth. It is that, and so, like,
I think we can go a bit into the details. So, but it gets really nasty here. So the women who sew these things, they wear diapers because they cannot go to the toilet while they work. They get sexually harassed by their boss. They have to work every day, also on a Sunday. They cannot see their children, or they bring their children to work. I don't know. What else? They get sick because they work with chemicals. What else? Maybe they are paid not.
They often will have to do stuff like rent. The house they have to rent is owned by the factory as well. So they don't have a choice about where they'll live or how they'll live.
Yeah.
And
so they are, like, completely on so many levels suppressed and, what's the word? Made dependent.
Yeah, and it's horrific. And for Nike to use, and all of these big brands, but mainly Nike, and Nike are by far the largest brand, so it's kind of worth sort of challenging them, I think, first. Like, McDonald's is larger than, you know, Ditch Bakery or whatever, Baccarat. Is to use this idea in their advertising of, like, people from poorer backgrounds, mainly women of colour, but often, like, men of colour too, or whatever, as kind of a way of escaping. Wearing Nike clothes is what's going to make you run faster and beat everyone else and escape the ghetto. You know, that's the concept of all of their ad campaigns. And it's mad that they're literally creating ghettos in another part of the world for that same demographic, you know, like to use that demographic to advertise a concept while actually creating the opposite of that concept. It's just I find that crazy. And what I find the most crazy is how our generation have absolutely accepted this. Like all of my friends, and like, you know, I hate to call you all out, but like everyone's like doing like Nike shoot, a Nike this, a Nike that, a Nike high snobiety cocktail night at Soho House, you know, like it's just like, oh my god, like you know this, like we all know this. Fuck those guys, they fucking hate us. Like Nike hates us. Like, and
by the way, it's not just Nike, it's also Adidas and Reebok and
absolutely, yeah. I choose Nike because it's the largest one by like quite a long way, and also they really just annoyed me with this ad campaign because it just was so unbelievably hypocritical. Like, you know, and then I see my friends who are like, whatever, wearing all the clothes and and it's like, yeah, well, Nike women Nike. It's like, they fucking hate women. If there's ever been a company that has done more, or an organisation that's done more to subjugate women outside of the Catholic Church, who knows what it is, you know, like, it must be Nike. Like, they are the worst. Like, anyway, so I found that really kind of odd, and why I wanted to create this brand is so that I'm a brand just like Nike, or this is a brand just like Nike, but we don't kill people, and we don't enslave them and work them to death and poison them and rape them, and you know, and we pay everyone a fair wage. It's just as a kind of like, this can be done, and this is a normal thing.
And what I like about the idea of Nobody Died is also that it's not this hypocritical good, we are very good people because we donate to poor people or something, and I think that also makes it art, that what you do is actually very simple. It's just the basic of how it should be. Yeah. You just set a base, right? That we sell a white t-shirt and nobody has died for it then. And in a world where this basic is so not the norm, that makes it special, no? And that's actually very sad.
Absolutely, it's wild, yeah. Yeah, it's wild that this
I hope you get a lot of competitors.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm excited to work against and with you in the future. Like, this is it. I mean, like, I don't want to become like. I mean, it'd be nice, you know. Maybe we do become a brand as big as Nike, but that's obviously never been the goal. And like, what is important though is that like, I don't know. Like, it's not hard to take responsibility for these sort of things. Actually, you know, like with certain things, with certain like food, I can grow a bit here and there, but it will be all of my time. And it's inefficient in the city, and you know, like I can't replace air travel because I don't own an airline or a train line. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with clothes are quite an easy one for us to make consumer decisions at that end. And actually, I think that can make a difference. I think with a lot of other things, consumer decisions it's a very interesting way of destroying our agency. You know, turn off your light bulbs in your house. It's nothing, you know, when there's endless factories with all of the lights on all night, every night, you know, like it means nothing. Whereas with clothing, there is something about that. Yeah. And particularly with brands where we represent an ideology. And we, you know, when you wear a Nike tick, you're representing that like slavery ideology, you know, and like, and that's particularly uncomfortable for me. Yeah.
I think it's really cool that your anger gets you to do this also, because from my perspective, you know, for me, things are very complicated because I studied engineering. So I learned how a thread is produced because I thought I need to know that in order to sell clothing or to spread my enthusiasm for fashion. And so my world got really, oh my God, and how is this thread? Is it the right way or is it the left way turned, and how often, and blah, 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 blah. And so I really admire people who actually have no idea really about how the processes are in fashion, you know, how to set up a fashion brand, what do you need, and blah, blah, blah. Because I got told it's so complicated and it's so complex, and you just do it. Well, yeah.
Make it, sell it, that's business, right? Like,
I think that's really cool, yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, I mean, hopefully your listeners will buy out the latest stock and we'll have to remake some new, like.
Yeah, so what are your next steps? How do you handle this brand?
The meteoric growth of Nobody Died.
Yeah, now that you have created it, how do you manage your creation? How do you know, or will there also be epiphanies coming that tomorrow you will maybe thinking, okay, I need black pants, or
yeah. Well, I personally am trying to, for my own self, I'm trying to replace all my clothes with clothes where nobody died. So I've had a very simple pullover made, and currently out of money, but I will be getting a tracksuit and some da. I'm not sure I'd sell those as products, you know, like it's more just that I want to create that for me, so I know. And in terms of the future of Nobody Died, like, let's see. I mean, yeah. What I've always intended it to be is a way of having access to a platform, if you know what I mean. I was at the bread and butter fashion event, you know, and Nike were there. We're going back to this, and two of my friends were on the panel actually, like really cool girls, and it was about women empowerment stuff, and I wanted to be there, you know, like not on the women's thing, but I wanted to have a voice on that panel, you know, so that I could just turn to the representative of Nike and say, what do you think about this? You know, why do you feel strong representing that? And do you really think that is what, you know, do you believe in your own message here? And I'd be surprised if anyone does, because it'd be crazy, right? Somehow, you know, like.
Yeah.
And so that was for me the objective of this, was to have a voice, you know, like. Yeah. I only need to sell a few t-shirts and then I'm a t-shirt company, you know.
That's so cool. Oh my god! I hope everybody buys Nobody Died t-shirts and pants and whatever else is coming. And yeah, even more, I hope that you get to sit there on the panel. And Thanks. You get to ask these very uncomfortable questions, because
really uncomfy.
Yeah, and I mean, I notice a bit from being a podcast host how it is to ask uncomfortable questions, but because somehow you want to respect, or that's how I always feel. I'm so full of love, and I want to respect all humans, and I know that everyone has their path and stuff, but some questions need to be asked, and when they are uncomfortable as well. So I hope you get the chance to do that. I really do.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
So to finish up, I have one last very nice question, and it goes like this: enjoy a success with us. What has worked out very well for you recently?
Okay, right. Bit of like a bragging thing, like
yes,
boasting.
Brag.
This week, actually, we talked about this earlier, but my favourite magazine when I was a student, and the one we'd all go to the library and flick through the moment it came out, was Adbusters, which is an activism magazine that began in 1989 in America. Is it Canada, Vancouver? It was American, either way. I recently met the creative director from there, and then my art is now the front cover of that magazine, international, all over the world, which is a real, one of those kind of real moments when you've, just something that was very, just something you looked up to, and then suddenly you're part of it, you know, with a very, very much a surprise, you know. I was really feeling very I was just doing all of this art and this political work, and just really putting my kind of putting a lot of myself into it, and then getting 50 likes on Instagram, and then moving on to the next thing, you know, and I felt really on the outside of everything, so it was a really nice kind of moment. Great. That was really simple, and now this is great. So I'm really excited about getting the real copy and then through it.
So you're on the cover of your all-time favorite art magazine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I know, crazy, right? Without really expecting it, yeah.
What is on the cover?
It's a painting from a show I did earlier this year called Dig Your Own Grave, and it's a painting of an emoticon crying blood, somehow. It was